My name is Aislinn Kalob. I live in Dover, New Hampshire, grew up in Henniker, New Hampshire, and like so many young people, left the state for more affordable college elsewhere. When I came back, I moved to the Seacoast and enrolled as an Americorps member because I was craving community that I had been lacking living in large cities for so long. So I work full-time as a program director for a federally funded after-school program in Rochester, and I've been in this role for 2 years now. We offer academic support, recreation, and a wide range of choice and daily enrichment programs, serving approximately 50 students daily at no cost to families. So I see each day why after school is so important as a component of education. Kids often need a safe, productive, and fun place to go between the hours of 2:30 and 5:30. The grant's intention is to serve low-income and underperforming school districts. So at its core, this program exists to fill an achievement gap by extending the school day with no cost barrier. I have been told by students that if not for after school, they would go home to an empty house with nothing to do. I have families tell me that they would otherwise not be able to afford childcare or other activities for their kids during this time. My job right now, due to COVID-19, is to try to provide as much consistency to my students as possible, while essentially all structure has been upended. Our program can't meet in a physical location anymore, so we are trying to engage our students by holding the after-school program after the day ends from 3 to 5 p.m. each weekday virtually via Google Meet. I have a lot of creativity in running a virtual after-school program, as all 30-plus programs in New Hampshire operating under this grant are still waiting on substantial guidance from the Commissioner on how we should proceed, how we should be reporting our work to the state. Though a few weeks into school closures, we did receive some general guidelines. All of our programs are responding to this crisis in our own way and differently depending on which districts we serve. That said, the greatest support I have received has been from my school district. Rochester rapidly and efficiently made the transition to remote learning, and I know I can reach out to our admin team or Title I at any time with questions or when I need guidance. The adventure in remote learning has truly been trial and error. It's been relatively easy to think outside the box in terms of creating the infrastructure for virtual after school, but the greatest roadblock has been thinking about how to bolster attendance in the program and make sure that we are effectively reaching all of our students. It is my fear that some will fall through the cracks. Our target population for this grant are the types of students that are at risk of falling through the cracks given normal circumstances. I worry about the kids being raised by their grandparents who are vulnerable to the virus. I worry about those who have unreliable access to technology and Wi-Fi. I worry about those for whom home may not be a safe or welcoming place, or even simply just a place conducive to learning. I understand that our education commissioner is an advocate of local control, but I worry that his political convictions will lead to too little guidance from the Department of Ed. I think we would all appreciate knowing his plans and desired outcomes for the coming weeks, especially given that school buildings are closed for the remainder of the year. On the district level, the measures I'm seeing right now are great short-term fixes. The district responded to Wi-Fi and tech problems by allowing Chromebooks to be borrowed from the school and by placing buses throughout the city to serve as Wi-Fi hotspots. And from what I've heard, food distribution has been reliable and accessible. For a community like Rochester, this crisis has unmasked pervasive systemic economic issues that we knew existed, but that are visible now more than ever. This means that our response to this crisis has been an even more massive undertaking, given that we operate with more limited resources than better funded districts, while trying to meet the needs of so many more families touched by economic insecurity. That's growing worse throughout this coronavirus crisis. What we need in the state is a complete overhaul of our school funding system. The quality of a child's education should never be dependent on their zip code, but with school funding tied to property values, this will remain the case. Teachers everywhere in New Hampshire were given days to completely transform how we educate our students, and we embraced the challenge. The zip code of our district should not determine how well we are paid either. Our communities clearly rely on public schools to provide so much more than education to our kids and will only be strengthened by a more equitable funding structure. All that said, I call on other teachers, after-school professionals, paras, support staff to share their stories of how they have been tackling remote learning. While Mike Pence has congratulated Edelblut and Sununu for their hands-off approach in setting the pace for remote learning in the U.S., I worry that the efforts of teachers on the ground will go overlooked. How are you adapting and feeling, and what challenges face your district?